While the modern form of humans evolved about 200,000 years ago, our ancestors have been around for 6 million years. We've obviously developed tools that aid human survival. The invention of the wheel, the printing press, the electric bulb, penicillin, concept of money, computers, have all altered human history and put us on the course of being the most successful species ever to have inhabited the planet. In India, we invented chess and the concept of zero. We've also shown our creativity in Jugaad. Jugaad, which is thinking out of the box and finding a solution when unlimited resources is not an option. An example of the Jugaad is the Maruta. An irrigation pump has been reverse engineered to form a low-cost engine for cheap transportation in villages. Now, what has caused all these inventions? One thing for sure is curiosity. There are two others that I'll talk about in just a minute. Ever since the 1950s, children have undergone tests for tracking their creativity. Professor E. Paul Torrance has developed a series of tasks to be administered by a psychologist on a subject to measure the subject's ability to produce something unique and original. Now, the IQ scores have been going up, which is not surprising considering the amount of information available to us today at our fingertips. The creativity scores have also been going up till the 1990s, after which they've consistently dropped. Now, whether or not these scores are accurate is not the point. We all instinctively know that creativity is on the decline as we age. So what happens? Where does that passion, that confidence go as we grow up? And just because we grow up to be less imaginative does not mean we can't salvage our creativity. We define creativity very rigidly. We set limits to it. Now that confines us not just in work and performance, but in spirit too. Asila Lagan, author of more than 100 short stories, said, "A creative adult is the child who has survived." Over the last decade of working with children as a storyteller and helping them find their creativity, I have stumbled upon mine. I have made a discovery that we can all find our lost creativity if we follow the triangle of light. I call it the triangle of light because following this triangle illuminates a path to finding that lost creativity. The triangle of light, which is passion, perception, and persistence. Passion, or the energy for something we love, is an important part of finding that creativity. Once an Olympic athlete followed a child in a play area, back and forth a swing, up and down a slide, round and round the roundabout, the athlete quit first, not because he lacked the stamina for jungle gyms, but because he lacked the passion for jungle gyms. When I say we can find creativity with passion, what I really mean is that we do something not just because we have to do it, but because we want to do it. When we are passionate about what we are doing, the love is infectious. Perfection is achieved. I once experimented telling a story to two different sets of children. The first set of children was told a story I loved, I believed in, and I could see the passion showing through. Children were enthralled. No one shuffled and no one spoke. They all curled up around my feet, dangling onto my legs, some of them unknowingly fiddling with my toes, as they were entranced into another world, enthralled by the storytelling. The second set of children, I told them a story that was originally a classic, but I didn't really like it so much. So the passion did not show through. And less than halfway through the story, I had a child raise his hand and say, "Zeeny ma'am, do you know my friend Aryan has a new dog? Zeeny ma'am, do you have a dog?" I didn't know what to do and what to say. "Zeeny ma'am, I'm thirsty. May I go for a wee-wee?" I once met an 81-year-old woman at a writing retreat in Devon, England. On the first day of her introduction, she told everyone that she wanted to be a picture book writer. At 81 years of age, she was finding her creativity through her passion. George the Mistral was committed to improve the zipper. He thought about the essence of zippers, which is to fasten two separate pieces of fabric together. So once when he was hunting birds, he crossed some burdock thistles, and the prickly seed burrs, they clung on to his coat and to the dog's fur. When you're committed to doing something, you find more and more things around you that relate to what you're doing. So he studied those burrs and he realized that when he pulled them out, they were easily removable and they were reattached as easily. He studied those burrs under a microscope and found a hook and loop fastener, and that was the invention of the Velcro. Now, it was not pure logic, but it was George de Mistral's passion and creative perception that led to the invention of the Velcro. Perception on my triangle of light. Children perceive life with honesty and with curiosity, with innocence. Yes, they can be embarrassing at times. I had my little one ask me in a party while I was talking to someone, "Mom, why does he have such a big nose?" So, well, they are innocent, but then in their innocence, we also find creativity. In my class of 4-year-olds, I once asked them what they wanted to be when they grew up. So, Elena wanted to be Tinkerbell, Elisa wanted to be a butterfly, and Ronak wanted to be a dinosaur when he grows up. I was amused by their innocence, and I realized that while we all make plans for what they should be when they grow up, we forget that children are something today. They are creative. So when the class ended, I told them that they should all be what they wanted to be when they grew up. They all left the class with a smile on their face, leaving me behind with a bigger smile on mine. So it is their innocence and their belief in the impossible that keeps them creative. Dr. Stephanie Carlson, an expert on childhood brain development at the University of Minnesota, said that children spend 2/3 of their time in pretend play. That kind of perception keeps them creative. Albert Einstein said, to stimulate creativity, one must develop a childlike inclination to play. And I think it's true. We must keep that innocence, that innocent faith in the impossible alive in us. When Henry Ford brought forth his idea of an electric motor car, people thought he was crazy to pursue such a wild dream. But Henry knew better than the people who ridiculed him. Henry was passionate. Henry had an innocent perception of life, of believing in the impossible. Persistence. Did you give up something you loved because you felt you didn't have the knack for it? Or did you give up something you loved because you were told you didn't have the talent for it? I have a story for you. There was once a 10-year-old girl who found her talent in her persistence. She loved to dance. She loved the sound of ghungroos. So she learned classical Odissi, Bharatanatyam, and Kathak dance. She was never given a chance for a solo performance, even though she knew all of that. She was told she was not graceful enough. She needed more poise. She loved to dance, and that was what she wanted. She was happy being stacked up in the middle of a big dance group. She's fine wearing her ghungroos and listening to herself in the music. She was never disheartened for never being got on stage alone. This little girl also loved to write stories. But her stories were never accepted for the school magazine because she was told they were not creative enough, they lacked imagination. But that didn't deter her from writing. She continued to write. She loved to write, and that's what she was doing. This little girl also loved the feel of a mic in her hand. But she was told that she shouldn't attempt holding a stage of her own because her speech was not clear. That didn't dishearten her. Every evening in front of the mirror, she would go and stand holding a toy mic. She felt like a star with an audience of 11 teddy bears and 5 Barbie dolls. Few years later, her family moved town and she changed her school. Now here, no one knew her. She could be anything she wanted. So in a flight of fantasy, she was a dancer. She walked up to her dance teacher and said, "I want to present you a snippet of my dance." Without batting an eyelid, after her performance, the teacher took her up for a solo show in front of 500 people. The girl went on to perform classical Odissi on skates in an art and cultural exchange program in England that was first of its kind. She continued to write stories. Some of them began to get published in the school magazine, in some children's magazines. Some did not, but that really did not matter. She needed to write, and she wrote. She relentlessly took part in debates and speeches and recitations, and her passion shone through in every bit. She began to win slowly. Here she also met her mentor, Mr. Pradeep Kumar. We all need people who push us, don't we? So she found one. Mr. Pradeep Kumar saw the fire in her and pushed her to follow her faith in her ideas, her passion, and her talent, her belief in herself. Mr. Pradeep Kumar's enthusiasm for life and for learning inspired her to follow her own. She wanted to be like him. Now, fast forward 20 years. Today, that girl who was told her stories were not creative is an international, a global published author with her books selling all over Korea, States, India, of course. The girl who was told her speech was not clear and that she shouldn't attempt holding a mic, holding a stage on her own, is an international storyteller and is today standing in front of you on one of the most prestigious talks in the world. So when I look back, I see myself following the triangle of light unknowingly. There is a poem by Shel Silverstein that I think sums up pretty much what I want to say here. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the wants. Listen to the never haves. Shh, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. This has inspired me for years and years, and I hope it inspires all my students and everyone listening here right now. How does one cross over from where we are to another life? I look at creativity as this swing ball game. The anchor is your knowledge base, your life, your work, your everyday stuff. The ball is you. And the bat is a triangle of light, passion, perception, persistence. When you hit yourself hard with a triangle of light, you go off exploring the unknown. You go off finding your true self. But life brings you back. Life is going to stop you. Responsibility brings you back. You can't run away from it, and neither should you. But then, don't slacken. Don't lose momentum, and hit yourself hard once again with a passion, with your persistence and your perseverance, your curiosity. Go off. Take risks. Explore the unknown. Find your true self. A wise man once told me, he said, "Zeeny, people don't know what they know. They need to discover it. All of us are creative. Only a few of us have discovered how to use that creativity." Remember when you were a little child and you walked into your mom's high-heel sandals and you wrapped her dupatta around yourself like a sari. You wore her lipstick, or when you stepped into your dad's big shoes and you held his office briefcase. So what happened? You pretended to be all grown up. You walked like an adult, you behaved like an adult, and you felt like one. This time, look into the mirror and find that joy, that pure curiosity, the innocence that you've probably left back a few years back. Don't let people judge you. Keep your dreams alive, no matter how impractical or how impossible they may seem. Ask yourself questions. Why? Why not? What if? Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to travel, to explore. Pablo Picasso, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when we grow up. Pablo drew like an adult when he was a child, but as he grew up, his paintings became more childlike. That's one of the examples from Cubism, his Cubism era. Picasso also said, it takes a very long time to grow young. So hey, what are we all waiting for?